And so the next one is to deploy, because once we get to that place, we can then operate in tandem and go ready, set, run. And the running looks different than the speed I'm talking to. The running looks like abiding. The running comes from a spirit of rest. And so when people question you, they're like, how are you doing all the things? Hashtag, because I see a lot of go-getters on this call. You don't have to question that you're doing it out of pride. You don't have to question that you're doing it because that's what the world is telling you to do. You get to be completely confident that God has called me into this season, and he makes me an Energizer bunny because I'm constantly plugging in to the source. When we plug into the source, our batteries never run out. That doesn't mean that we don't rest. That doesn't mean that we don't practice Sabbath. That doesn't mean that we don't fast and we are not on the sugar fuel or the caffeine kick that we're used to. I saw someone mention caffeine. I get it. That was definitely my morning. I was like, oh, I'm a little more sleepy than I am at 5 a.m. usually. This is weird, but I go right to coffee. So going right to Christ for that energy boost. Like, he is more capable than caffeine. He created caffeine. He created the coffee bean. Okay? So coming into this knowledge and knowing that you are about to be commissioned, you are about to deploy as a warrior, as an army member of Christ. And this is why we do it corporately. Because I know individually you're being called into something great. You're being called that you're going to take dominion. But as Chris Rickstrew, who's dropping fire in the corner, we're in this mission together. When I look down the line of the front line of the territory that I'm about to claim, I better not be alone. I better be with Gideon's army of 300. Because I know that there are angels that are warring on our behalf because we've corporately, divinely aligned ourselves to them. We've commissioned them and we've commissioned ourselves to the front lines to say, God, we will do this in your strength and not mine. We will do this in your timing and not mine. We will do this in your way and not mine. And when I look down that line on both sides, I want warriors like you standing next to me. People who are not afraid to speak up about their faith. People who are not afraid to go into a time of weeping or mourning or fasting for people they never even have met and likely never will. That they're willing to do and take part in kingdom expansion, even if they're an Abraham and they never meet the many nations which they impact. Even if they're a Moses and they never actually get to go to the promised land. We all want to be Joshua. We all want to be the pioneer, the leader that, like, let's go, we're going to take dominion. And you might be. But what if you're not? Are you still willing to be the number 2, the number 5, the number 10? Are you willing to do it without the name recognition? Are you willing to do it without the glory? Are you willing to do it without the millions of followers on social media? Are you willing to do it without the millions of dollars that you think you need? Because in my perspective and what I've been taught time and time again from the Lord is that the manna is enough. And when we gripe and we complain and we grumble about what we don't have because it doesn't look like what other people have doing the same thing that you want to do, God is saying, yeah, I know. I've uniquely positioned you with the resources that you have, and I am always enough. You have exactly what you need, and I'm deploying you to the front lines. The 3 other D's that you all dropped were divine, which out of Psalm 35:13, David himself humbled himself in the morning. I believe the divinity that we're looking for is humility. Humility is going to be what changes people's minds. Humility of the church to say, you know what, we got this wrong. You know what, we spoke that out of self-centeredness. We spoke that out of greed. We spoke that out of lack of knowledge. We spoke that out of religious tradition. When we go to the word and he gives us capital T truth, nothing and no one should stop you from going after it and teaching others. Ultimately, we are all messengers, every single one of us. And the most ill-equipped, the one who's in the room right now who feels like the least of these, you have what it takes. You have what it takes. The next one is devote. If we can devote ourselves to this, and I'm going to ask something of you that is beyond the 3 days, because God is like that. And he has asked if we can devote ourselves to fasting for the first 3 days of every single month. It's going to change kingdom expansion as we know it in the year 2024 and moving forward. And so whether you commit to 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, it's a 3-day water fast at the first, second, and third of every month of this year. Are you willing to devote yourself? Oh, wow. Look at that. Melissa said she already planned to do it. Come on. This was just sparked in this conversation, just so you know. I did not have a plan to ask you this at all.